What do we mean by I? Who am I? What is the self? Because we use the word so much, we think we know what it means. The number of times we use it each day, you think we knew what it meant. Turns out we don't. I mean, you ask anybody to define the I, and it's like, well, I'm Peter Russell, that's just my name. Well, I'm British, that just happens to be my passport, where I was born. You know, I'm male. I could be living in a female body. I might have different feelings, reactions, emotions, worldview, but that sense of I-ness would still be the same. We even say, I'm not the same person I was 20 years ago, which is actually a very interesting statement when you think about it. I am not the same person I was 20 years ago. Who isn't, implicit in that is, I have always been the same, but my character, personality, worldview, choices, likes, dislikes may have changed. The things I surround myself with, identify with, have changed. But that sense of I-ness is the same sense of I-ness we had when we were 5 years old. What is this deep, deep sense of I-ness? This is what the mystics have explored, and even physicist Schrödinger looked into this, and he said, what is this I? He says, you will on close introspection, note introspection, not analysis, close introspection, looking into yourself, i.e. meditation, find that what you really mean by I is the ground stuff upon which all experiences and memories are collected. So what we really mean by I, and this is what you realize, I think, the more meditation you do, is the feeling of I or amness is the feeling of consciousness itself. It's just that feeling of being something isn't actually anything to do with being an individual, just the feeling of being aware. And then we then make the mistake of thinking the I is a thing. It's this reification again. We make experiences things, we have this feeling of I-ness, and we say, oh, it's a thing. What is it? But there's nothing there. Just like there's no matter there. So the truth is you are consciousness, period, nothing else. And then this is the doorway to the divine. Thomas Merton said, if I penetrate to the depths of my own existence, to the indefinable am that is my self in its deepest roots, then through this deep center I pass into the infinite I am, which is the very name of the Almighty. Ramana Maharshi put it a lot more concisely, I am is the name of God. God is none other than the self. And again, you find it time and time again in all cultures, all times, that this is where we connect with the divine. The Upanishads say, Atman is Brahman. Atman is the Sanskrit word for that sense of I-ness, not the individual ego or the individual sense of self, nothing to do with the unique being, but it's that sense of I-ness, which is probably the same for each and every one of us. That sense of I-ness which I feel, that sense of being me, something, is exactly, I think, what each of you feel. Yes. The memories I have, my experiences, my wishes, all that stuff is very different. But that sense of I-ness which is there is exactly the same for each of us. Right. And that's the Atman, that sense of I-ness, is Brahman, the source of everything. Brahman is the universal source. Translate that into English, and you get things like, I am God. Very, very dangerous statement to make. Because people misunderstand every single word in that sentence. Ram Dass tells his story of how he went to visit his brother in a mental institution, and his brother says to him, how come I go around the world saying I am God and they lock me up and give me all these medicines and things to try and convert me? You go around the world saying you are God and everybody flocks to your talks and lectures. And he said, says Ram Dass, the difference is, I also say that everybody else is too. When mystics make this claim, we misunderstand them to be saying, well, the ordinary world misunderstands them to be saying, me, Peter Russell, is the guy who created the universe. Doesn't mean that at all. is that experience of that deep, deep sense of I-ness, that deep sense of amness, is what we call God. And when you're in deep meditation, the qualities that start arising are the qualities we ascribe to God. You know, God is peace. There's that deep peace in meditations, that the heart opens, that feeling one is love. You know you are love. It's usually covered up by all the other stuff that's going on. God is light, the light of consciousness. In fact, if we say God is, even looking from a traditional point of view, God is the source of everything. Everything in the world, as I've been saying, is a manifestation of consciousness. God is consciousness. The way we know God is by knowing consciousness in its essence. And of course, just to finish, so this isn't new, one of my favorite quotes from 12th century Spanish mystic Ibn al-Arabi: God sleeps in the rock, dreams in the plant, stirs in the animal, and awakens in man. I would like to modify that and say begins to awaken in man, I think, and woman. The process we are engaged in at this time in the evolution of our culture is the full awakening of our consciousness, the full awakening to what it means to be conscious, the full awakening to our own inner divinity, and not, again, through an intellectual awakening. We can read all that stuff in books all over the place and go to talks on it. It's actually doing that work and awakening to that truth in oneself. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.